Chapter 1. 1008. Wilbur's mind raced at high speed. He let out a cry, stabbing out wildly several times. Rinchen merely responded with a single punch. He was the one with absolute power here, and there was no need for gimmicky stunts. A few explosions later, Wilbur was sent several meters backward. The multicolored flames on the thin sword grew stronger once again as he pounced on Rinchen, aiming for his forehead this time. This attack contained all of Wilbur's strength, spiritual energy, willpower, and spirit energy. Time seemed to stop as the attack was launched. Rinchen himself obviously sensed the threat coming from this attack as well. He let out a roar, and all the runes on his body lit up into a complete inscription. An overwhelming sense of animosity, fear, and dread filled every other person in the room. Rinchen had also maximized all of his power here. The space around him seemed unable to withstand this power, causing cracks to appear in the air slowly. Rinchen raised his fist, throwing a slow punch at Wilbur. This was the ultimate duel. With how terrifyingly powerful Rinchen was, no one thought Wilbur would win here. Even if Wilbur's sword attack had surpassed the Super Sanctuary level, it was definitely weaker in comparison to Rinchen's absolute power. The thin sword pierced Rinchen first, yet it merely stopped at Rinchen's forehead, unable to go any further. Rinchen's punch was mere centimeters away from connecting with Wilbur now. Wilbur let out a cry, channeling all the energy he could into the thin sword. The tip of the sword finally broke the skin on Rinchen's forehead, but stopped once again as it met his skull. Wilbur did not have any more energy to channel into the thin sword now. Rinchen's punch was a hair away from connecting with Wilbur's chest, threatening to crush him to a pulp any second. Ryder saw this and threw his super kanata away at once. A battle axe appeared in his grasp, and he took off running towards the battlefield. He knew that Wilbur was going to lose, that entering the battle himself was a one-way ticket to death. Yet Ryder remembered what he had sworn by when he had first entered the department. Never give up, and fight to the end as long as there is even a shred of life in you. This was the first line he had sworn by, and how he had been treating all his missions. Although he knew that this fight was a hopeless one that he would not survive, he was going to go down with his fellow teammates, even if it meant that this death would be a gruesome one. If there was an afterlife, he would meet his teammates there and continue the fight. If there was no afterlife, they would sleep together in peaceful slumber. The onlookers could hardly contain their shock at what they were seeing. Just what kind of courage did one have to be willing to fight to the death? Just then, however, a sly smile appeared on Wilbur's face. The next second, his body was enveloped in a brilliantly colored glow. Rinchen's punch connected against the glowing barrier. The terrifying power of the punch did not let out a single sound, nor did it let out any rampant energy. All of that power seemed to be absorbed by this glowing barrier without a trace. Ryder stopped in his wild sprint, taking in the sight before him dumbly as his gaze flashed with something unreadable. At the same time, Rinchen himself looked confused as well. He could not seem to understand why something like this had happened. The next second, however, his expression turned to one of fear.